welcome from my side as well. My name is Simon Losby, head of the Hyundai Design Center. And it's a real pleasure to see so many of you here, having come such a long way. So many familiar faces, new faces and friends. So it's a big welcome, and I'm very honored to have you here and to be able to present one of our latest pieces of work. But I'm standing here not alone, I'm representing a big team. Representing a big team of colleagues back in Nanyang who are working on IONIQ 9. And not only in Nanyang, our USA team and our European team were collaborating together to deliver IONIQ 9 from the second concept in 2021. At Hyundai Design, you'll know we have a principle where we treat each of our vehicles to some extent like a chess piece from Western chess. Each piece has a specific role to play, a specific move on the chessboard. Like each of our cars has a specific customer focus, and that's why we develop different typologies for different customer mindsets. This gives us a big bandwidth in our portfolio. We call it the Hyundai look, where for each of our players, each of our vehicles, we raise the emotional value, connecting to the consumer lifestyle. Our philosophy behind design is what we call customer-centric design. And there are 4 building blocks to that. We try to connect the vehicle as closely as possible to the customer lifestyle. In the future, when we finish the car, we try and connect it to their place of work sometimes, their work site. We also, they'll have some amount of heritage within Hyundai that we can apply to our designs, and of course, critically, integrating the right technology into the vehicles. So customer-centric design is about actually looking for what we call latent needs, things that the customer today hasn't told us, but will be evident in the future. We're looking for the signals that build to connect to the customer's diverse mindsets. And the mindset for IONIQ 9, of course, our all-electric 3-row SUV, is about that clean journey, that efficient journey. We weren't looking to do the typical boxy SUV. We're looking to do the SUV in an IONIQ way. Now, IONIQ itself is now a lineup of 3 cars. You'll remember this image from 2021 where we made our promise. And now we fulfill that promise with the 3rd in our lineup of production IONIQs. We did 3 concept cars, and since then we've been working hard with our teams to deliver to the right quality and the right emotion and the right design statement for IONIQ 9. But what makes an IONIQ? What are the connecting factors for IONIQ? Well, there were 3 building blocks. The first is that we apply the most sustainable approach that we can for each of our IONIQs, whether it's being more efficient, whether it's use of materials or processes. IONIQ is the groundbreaker in the organization to do this in the best way. The second principle for IONIQ, the building block, we like to call it the furnished interior space. We have a bigger interior space than any other car in the segment, a longer wheelbase, and we have different in-car experiences. Then the third of our building blocks, the parametric pixel. You probably know the story, you probably think Simon talks about this story too much, but the pixel is very important. It's the one visible connection that connects IONIQ 5, 6, and 7, and it has a generation connecting appeal. If you ask my kids, they'll say Minecraft or Roblox. That's the building block of their digital understanding in today's day and age. My age, maybe some of you too, will think back to the first computer game you played. My first electronic computer game was the game Pong, which is a pixel tennis game with a pixel going back and forth. The first electronics then. But from Korean history, if we go back to 1447, where King Sejong decided to redesign the language and design Hangul, today's alphabet. He created an alphabet which I think is the only one in the world with a perfect pixel as one of the letters. So it's actually a distinctly Korean fact as well, which we apply to our most modern vehicles. You could say it's a 600-year-old design language, so thank you, Korean history, for that. But it doesn't look out of date, it looks bang up to date and modern. If you see pixels on any other vehicles now, we've inspired maybe other companies to take a similar approach. But we own it, and it's distinctly Korean. That brings us on to IONIQ 9 itself. And you can see on the image here, as we describe it, the Aerosthetic lounge, an aerodynamically, hugely aesthetically beautiful and simplified shape. And the pebble you see there, the smoothness of the pebble, the purity of the pebble. Actually, that pebble is one I picked up on the beach in Yosu Island last weekend as I was there, and I found the perfect pebble, which I wanted to photograph and use in the presentation. But as we worked on IONIQ 9, the three parts to the story, the, if you like, the Teutonic nature, sort of engineered, almost Germanic quality to the surfaces and execution in a very engineered, a very technical way. As these surfaces run down the car, they end in what we call the boat tail, where the cabin tapers towards the rear, leaving this muscular shoulder still. Not only is it aesthetically unique, attractive, but it's also quite muscular and creates a very efficient aerodynamic shape. And finally, the integration of technologies was important to us, mostly evident at the front, where we have a very clean volume, but we're integrating in a flush way what we call a technology cassette, where our sensors can be upgraded over time without changing the architecture of the front of the car. Now, our designers took the 7 concept and developed that further and really refined the design, as you can see here, into this bold, spacious, and highly, highly functional shape. Still with a muscular stance, still with a strong presence at the front of the car. But critically in side view, and that's why we wanted to show you the side view first, the proportion is our way of executing an SUV. It's clean, it's solid, and it's simple, but there are some crucial dimensional changes that are different to a typical SUV. We actually have quite a short hood and quite a low bone line at the front. This helps us aerodynamically, and as we shorten the hood, we stretch the cabin forwards and get a very fast windscreen. That fast windscreen peaking quite a long way towards the rear here, accelerating down over the third row headroom, ending at the back here, giving us the longest interior diagonal that we can create. Not only is it huge, and I urge you to sit in all 3 rows when you get in the car later, a massive interior space, which doesn't seem so big from the outside. But that was our principle, to give us that interior space in an efficient form, and this point then is hugely aerodynamically efficient as well. The wheelbase is the longest IONIQ, 3.13 meters. That obviously gives us massive potential for the interior flexibility. At the front of the car, as I mentioned, a very clean volume. A clean volume for pushing through the air, and very, very memorable from, of course, the 7 concept in 2021. But there are a set of sort of stories around the car which keep going, which only when you really study it, you realize how the inspiration from the boat has given this very unique muscular tail. There are detailed stories, secret stories around the car as well. One of the descriptions I use for this single diagonal line on the body side, what I call the hanbok line, the traditional Korean dress that all mothers are wearing at the weddings especially, has a single diagonal along the collar. And that's the way I would describe it to the design team when we're discussing the position of the hanbok line, the acceleration on the hanbok line, and the plan shape, how the shape of the vehicle changes as it moves around what I would call the hips and the haunches at the rear of the car. Also, the detailing at the front of the car was product design-like character to the transparency, the technology center, as we look forward to monitor the traffic using all the ADAS systems that the car has. And then even down to the wheels, the turbine-like inspiration behind the wheel design, slightly closed design at the rim, which helps us aerodynamically with a few more counts, but clearly an aero statement in this execution, which is the 21-inch on the calligraphy version of IONIQ 9. But all of these beautiful images that you see, they're not my sketches, they're the team sketches. And the team behind them, I'm happy enough to say today we have two of the designers here with us, Hyung-soo and Woo-hyun. This is not a photo shoot, these are their desks. I walk past these guys every day in the studio and we talk about design. I would say a huge thank you to them, and they're here, I think, standing over at the back somewhere. If we could give them a round of applause for their beautiful work. Thank you. These guys know every half millimeter of the car possibly better than I do. It's great thanks, and it's great fun working together. Moving on to the interior. With this huge interior space, we wanted to create what we call a calm, caring, relaxed, furnished environment. Nature-inspired, soothingly calm spaces and shapes. You know, what we hear and what we see and what we touch has an enormous impact on our mood and our personal mental space. So we didn't want to create a technologically overpowering space. We wanted to create a calm, natural lounge space for our customers. And the inspiration of nature was really important in that. A natural space, a smooth space, but a spacious amount of room for the customers. Find balance in the simplicity of that environment. The natural lounge, as we call it, has a clear inspiration also from the 7 concept. The elliptical theme was the strongest factor. We wanted to create that calmness of that pebble from the beach, which I picked up in Yosu recently. That translated very nicely into the production interior. This rendering from Sung-jun, who couldn't be here today, but he was working very closely in Namyang with our European team to deliver the interior of IONIQ 9. Even the detailing of the air vents continues the theme, almost the sofa-like furnished space for the instrument panel and the doors, the ellipse design shaped by nature and refined by our designers. The instrument panel, the detailing, each element in interiors gets hugely complicated, but keeping a consistent theme down into the last detail was our driving force for the interior of IONIQ 9. The secret stories for the interior, the furniture-like inspiration on the shapes for the instrument panel, the architectural-like character of the rooftops to kick, just a beautiful, simple circular door handle, and then down into the smallest, minutest detail with the pixel execution of the texture of the buttons. All these beautiful images from Sung-jun, who's not here today, but that's him at his desk, and I walk past his desk every day as well, and we discuss design. Great thanks as well to him. I'm hoping he'll be with us at the LA show at the end of the month when we reveal the car formally to everybody. So that's a little bit of a summary of the exterior. I think we've got a nice little closing film to show you now after the last interior rendering. Thank you very much, everybody, for your time. I'm sure there'll be a chance to talk later and you'll have a look close up. That's the design presentation, but I'm fortunate to have Brian Holgren here from a product side, engineering side, R&D, to give you a lot more detail about the content of IONIQ 9. Thank you very much.